Hello, I'm Dana Nye, your host for the series Makeup for the Theater. We're about to begin our second makeup lesson, the straight female makeup, commonly called the beauty makeup. During the course of the lesson, I'll be making some suggestions on altering and improving some of the small imperfections that all actors have. This is called corrective makeup. Before we begin, I'd like to point out that many female characters require the simplest of styling, with no bright eyeshadows, cheek colors, or lipsticks. The ingenue roles in Oklahoma require this natural look. However, for the ladies in cabaret, a more stylized look would be required. Dramatic eyeshadows, bright lipsticks, and intense rouges are the ticket to Broadway. I would like to introduce you to Patricia Messina, our makeup artist, and Manjeet Kapani, our model. Patricia is a makeup artist in Los Angeles. Her credits include the feature film A Sure Thing and TV sitcoms My Sister Sam, Day by Day, and Brothers. Manjeet has been a member of the Long Beach Repertory Theater and the Lee Strasberg Theater Ensemble. She also has numerous film and video credits. I'll be lending my insight into the step-by-step process as this lesson progresses. So let's begin.
Thank you very much, Dana. Manjeet has already washed her face in preparation for this makeup, and I've applied just a little bit of moisturizer under the eyes where it's most dry. I'll be starting with a cream base. This is the L5 Tan Rose. It's a very nice natural color. I'll be applying it very thinly all over the face in a light sweeping motion.
I'd like to say that if some of you are used to using a pancake makeup, the cream-based style makeup does not require water, so it's ready to apply as it is. Patricia is using that latex foam sponge that I used in the first lesson. She's cut it on a wedge, which allows her to get into some of the little nooks and crannies on Manjeet's face. And you'll notice as she applies the makeup, she's not dragging the sponge across her face. It's a kind of a light action. Remember, this makeup is densely pigmented. A little bit goes a long ways. And it's just a gentle patting motion. You know, even if you have freckles, they will show through with this cream style makeup. It colors the skin, and yet it isn't. It shouldn't look cakey. If it does, you're probably using it too heavy.
Okay, look up.
It's important to ask your model to cooperate with you. That way, they're not surprised when that sponge goes underneath the eyes. And it's just a way to keep them aware wherever you're working. You wouldn't want to catch the actress off guard and put that sponge in the eye. It would be very painful. And she's taking the base down below the jawline.
And this is the new highlight kit from Ben Nye. I will be using the Extra Light Highlight.
Generally, the application of the highlights will be considered corrective applications.
I'm going to be giving her just a little bit in the nasolabial area, just at the top. And also I brought the highlight up, I extended it a little bit into the corner of the eye to bring out this area on her. And I'll be blending with the latex sponge.
You're free to blend with brushes or your fingers if you wish. Remember that the highlights, rouges, and shadows are light textured yet densely pigmented, so it doesn't take long to blend. She's also actually blending the edges either upper or lower into the base, so there isn't a harsh line indicating where the makeup starts and stops. That's a real aid. to creating a subtle makeup if you're in a intimate theater.
What I'd like to do now is use this next wheel, which is the coverall kit. I'll be using the mellow yellow just to cover a couple of imperfections.
Mellow yellow is a color that is designed to cover any kind of redness. It could be acne, sunburn, skin irritation. It's one of my father's originals. It's very effective. With something like a pimple, a little bit of mellow yellow on the top will hold pretty nicely, and you can see that she just blended it very quickly.
Just so not to disturb these, I'm going to put just a little bit of powder on just these areas. Next, I'll be using the medium brown.
This is a very nice, very pretty contouring color. And as she applies the contour shadow to the base of the cheekbones there, she's actually heightening Manjit's cheekbones along the base of the jawline here. She's giving her a little bit more contour. It's an attractive shadow. By sinking the cheekbones there, it actually draws attention to the area above it. So highlights and shadows are usually always worked in tandem. Now, a little later, she'll be using a cheek rouge on the upper cheekbone there. And though she in effect would be highlighting that upper cheekbone with the rouge. It adds, in effect, it adds contour. Now, a little bit of shadow along either side of the bridge of the nose. Thins her nose, which is a corrective technique. Again, we're repeating the process on this side.
I'm also going to add a little bit of her own character back in, and that's a little bit of cleft chin that she has.
I think what Patricia's doing here, she's taking advantage of Manjit's own facial features, which is exactly what you want to do when you make yourself up or make others up.
What we're talking about here is the light in the theater completely takes out a lot of the personality of the face because it washes out the natural highlights that would come directly from above, whether it be sunlight or indoor lighting. It always comes from above, so we're shadowing just below where those highlights would be from the natural lighting. This is the Dusty Rose cream blush. In that way.
My father taught me, when I first started learning back in 1966, that the rouge is basically applied in kind of a long triangle. And the apex of the triangle is right below the center of the eye. And if you'll smile for us just for a moment. Okay, Patricia, just why don't you put your finger right there just at the high point of her cheek.
This is sometimes referred to as the apple.
Yeah. And that's going to be the most intense part of the rouge. And then it's blended up along the cheekbone and down below. There's another rule of thumb that you might try in your makeup class when you have a chance. If you look at the center of the eye and imagine a vertical line going right through the center of the pupil, and then taking a horizontal line that begins at the center of the ear and runs out to the cheek. Where those two imaginary lines intersect, that would be the high point of your rouge, or the apple. And the actual contours of her face are a lot more dramatic at this point, and we're not even done.
Close.
The powder that Patricia's using is the Fair Translucent. You know, it's a fine light powder. It has one ingredient that makes it very light and fluffy like bath powder, and another component that really makes it cling, so it's a very effective powder. This is the dry rouge brush that she's using. There is a wider brush called the duster brush, which can also be used to apply powder. But the dry rouge brush, as Patricia's using it, is very effective. Now at this point, Patricia has picked up a different kind of brush this time. This is a watercolor brush. It's a round sable number 2. And the makeup that she's using is the black cake eyeliner. This is like a little pancake. It's densely pigmented, and it's for lining the eyes. Notice she's asked Manjeet to put her eye, to look up, put her eye upward, so she can't see the brush. And what this does is it thickens the lashes. It helps to frame the eye. It makes it easier for the audience to see the actress working. It's very important that anyone performing on the stage have good eye contact. She put a little water in the cap to this container. So there's a little water source, a little place to mix up the color right then and there on the makeup table. Notice how deliberate Patricia is when she's working. She moves just fast enough to spread the color. And it's a nice way to keep into control. The eyeliner above the lashes helps to frame the eye. It opens the eye. The eye line on the very end of the eye is lifted outward. And rather than closing the eye, it tends to make it look bigger. As the watercolor dries, Patricia goes back and adds more color, or adds more water as she needs it. Okay. Now, if you're sometimes you're afraid that the watercolor hasn't dried, and you can take your hand and you can actually fan it dry. Now, with the Q-tip, she's smudging the color upwards.
Next, we're using a toast highlighter color. It's a powder shadow. This is a number 6 round brush. I usually knock a little bit of the dust off the brush, which helps. That way when you go to the eye, you don't have the dust filtering down onto the cheekbone area.
Notice that highlight's going right over the center of the eye, right over the pupil. And that's really the high point of the curvature of the lid. And it's a nice place for the audience to center their attention.
And again on the frontal bone, which is this bone right under the eyebrow.
This is a very pretty place right below the eyebrow for a highlight. Patricia and I have done quite a few TV shows together. She and I have worked on Brothers, and we did Kavanaugh's, and it's a nice experience working with another professional because there's always the opportunity to keep learning. This next color is called the brown pressed eyeshadow, and this is called the ES9. It's a new color. It's subtle, yet it has plenty of depth. And the color that she's applying is going into the crease of the eye socket. She's actually sinking in the eye a little bit up there. Notice Manjeet has very wide set eyes, which allow us to do some beautiful contouring with eye color. Notice that we haven't used any provocative colors yet. Our goal here is to create a simple style makeup to begin with. You know, many musicals, many shows require a makeup that's not provocative. And after we get the basics done here, we're going to just take a minute just so you can see what she looks like. And then we'll go for the more stylized look with a little bit more drama in the eyes, brighter cheeks, brighter lipstick.
At this point, Dana, sometimes I like to go in with my the same latex sponge and blend a little bit too.
Cool.
Now, Manjeet has beautiful eyebrows, but we are going to accent them a little bit with some dark brown pencil. First, I'm going to brush them into place.
If an actress has very bushy eyebrows, after they're brushed up, you might put a little bit of styling gel on them. You could use a little hairspray, but only if you sprayed the spray into the little styling brush. You'd never spray the spray right into the eyebrows.
What I like to do sometimes is to just hold the pencil lightly in my hand and just run the pencil along the hair and let the hair pick up the color rather than trying to draw with the pencil.
It's a very natural look, and I've started doing this myself, and I'm really satisfied with this technique. Notice how natural the brow looks. This is quite different than an eyebrow that would be painted in. I think that many of you have probably been to Denny's and seen the waitresses there. Well, this is not the kind of look that we're trying to go for. Perhaps for the Mad Woman of Chaillot, a painted-in brow might be appropriate, but a lighter look is definitely necessary here.
I think what I'll do is add just a little bit of a darker brown. It's actually called dark brown, just to accent this natural shadow. Close.
Notice one color blends very nicely over the other. The key, and remember this, is when you use a pressed color, a dry color, make sure that the eyelids are really dry. If they're oily, if they've gotten hot, it's a hot makeup room situation, you're working outdoors in a hot summer stock situation, take a tissue, put it over your puff and blot the eyes, and then go back over and powder them again. Then use your dry color. It really works good that way. Otherwise, the dry color seems to catch. It's looking for a dry surface. It spreads very nicely when it is dry. Notice Patricia's using a little section of sponge there to blend off the color.
This can also be applied a little bit on the outer edges underneath the eye.
This makes the eyes, to me, look more mysterious. It gives it more dimension. It does tend to frame the eyes as the eyeliner does, but it gives it a little different quality. It's something that's universal for either film, video, or with a darker eyeshadow in place. Patricia's going to apply the mascara. It's black. This particular mascara is water resistant. It actually has shellac in it, of all things, but that allows it to hold. You can certainly cry with it. The mascara thickens the lashes. It makes them look longer. Makes her eyes look much prettier. Frames the eye. Makes her eyes more attractive for the audience member to follow.
I usually have the model look halfway down to apply the mascara, and oftentimes I like to have a place for my hand to steady itself, sometimes using the chin and my own hand as a leverage.
It's kind of a little platform, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, look, it works real well, I can see. We're down to the last couple little sections of the makeup for, say, an ingenue type makeup. And we're going to have her take a look at the camera for a beat or two, and then we're going to go on and add some drama to her makeup.
This is a beautiful Ben Nye lipstick color and a great color for a nice natural stage makeup. And this one's called Dusty Rose.
I've often been asked, well, what's the difference between, say, a lipstick and, say, the rouge tone that you used a little while ago, the Dusty Rose? The lipstick has a heavier wax on it that allows it to hold. Mm-hmm. So that's why I'd recommend actually using a lipstick or a lip color, something that will actually hold up. You know, your lips are opening and closing. So you need a heavier consistency to hold on the lips. Patricia's using a flat brush.
This is a number 7.
These two are densely pigmented, so you don't have to put it on real thick. just enough to cover. This frames the mouth. It makes it easier for the audience to follow the dialogue. It's a flattering type of color.
This is called Nectar Peach, and it's a beautiful powder blush. And I'm going to go over the cheekbone area, as well as give her a little additional color on the forehead and chin area.
So the rouge can be actually used as a tint, can it?
It can. You can also even apply it over your shadow if you want, just to give them a little bit more punch and vibrancy.
Yeah, a rosy tone over the eyes is often very pretty.
If it's a younger character, you can even give her a little on the nose.
Wow, that's really made her cheeks pop.
And we'll finish with a little more fair, translucent face powder.
This is the duster brush she's using this time.
But you can also use your velour puff very nicely.
By the way, while she's using this puff, it just reminds me that there are these little puffs that are sold. They're very thin. They're wafer thin, like communion puffs. They're very hard in the makeup, so I recommend that if you're going to use a puff, use a big one with some padding in it. Well, say, you look terrific.
Thank you. What I'd like to do now is just make it a little stronger and just basically bump this up a bit to go from a very natural character to maybe more of a characterized version of a beauty makeup.
Yeah, it's a good idea. This will get everybody a chance to see how you can make that transformation. It's rather simple. We're going to go with some colors that are a little bit darker.
Let's just say she's going to be playing a character in Cabaret. Let's give her a beauty mark. This is just a dark brown pencil. And once again, using a round brush, we'll bring up the eyeshadow color. This is the charcoal.
This is another pressed color.
Close.
I recommend that you don't use the cream colors over the eyes. The eyes are opening and closing, and the lids really get oily up there. So you're going to have a much better result if you use the dry color. That's charcoal, very pretty. Again, blending with the sponge. Just softens a little bit, doesn't it?
It's really a nice way to blend. And let's try one of the fun eyeshadow colors that Ben Nye has. Here's a nice gold color. This is called Gold, and it has some opalescence to it. Is that what you'd call it, Dana?
Yeah, pearlescence, opalescence. Okay. It's got a little shimmer. This is one of our 22 colors in the Pearl Sheen series, and they have a little bounce to them, so if you need a color that pops.
I'm going to apply this just where I put the last highlight that you saw, the more natural color.
It's going right over the center of the eye and on the frontal bone. Yeah. The Pearl Sheen is nice. It's pressed, yet it spreads very easily. It almost feels like it might be a cream style makeup, but it's not.
And once again, blending is very important.
I was going to say that the Pearl Sheen takes the place of those little pots of dust that were so popular a few years ago. But if you had one of those little pots of dust and you dropped it, it was history. But these are pressed, and they hold up very well. This
is Misty Pink, We'll use this blush instead now.
And you're going right over the other color.
Correct.
But it's different enough that it really changes it completely.
One more.
Okay, we're switching colors now. We're going from the Dusty Rose to the True Red lipstick, which is one of our red lipsticks. This is the one with the blue tint. And it's analogous to our red cream rouge. The other red rouge in the line is called the Siren Red, and it has more of an orange tint, a warmer color. Now, of course, hair and costume play an important role in any makeup or any character design. And just as Manjeet is through, we're gonna release her hair. She has very beautiful hair, and we pulled it back so it was easy for you to see the makeup. But when we let her hair free, you'll see how nicely her hair complements her makeup. Patricia, she looks lovely. Now, just to recap, here are the colors we used to design her character. We used the L5 Tan Rose Foundation, the Dusty Rose Rouge, the Medium Brown Cream Shadow, Extra Light Highlight, the Fair Face Powder, the Medium Brown and Dark Brown Pencil, Black Mascara, Black Cake Eyeliner, Brandy Lip Pencil and Red Lip Pencil, Dusty Rose and True Red Lipstick, Nectar Peach and Misty Pink Blusher. For contour shadows, we use the dark brown and the light brown, Charcoal and Dust for eyeshadows, and the Pearl Sheen Gold. Thanks for being with us. I encourage you to keep practicing. You learn something new every time you apply makeup. I also invite you to keep studying with us. Our Series 2 subjects include the old age makeup and character makeup with special effects. Series 3 centers on the hair, losing it with a bald cap and getting it back using crepe wool. Once again, thank you for joining us for Ben Nye's Makeup for the Theater.